topic. So Erwan, stage is yours.
Okay. So hello everyone. So today's goal is to touch a bit the topic of safety and cybersecurity, especially in software development. And we'll try to give you an overview about Qt tools and product, not it's on the full Qt portfolio, how it can help you to, on your project when you get safety or cybersecurity requirements. So first of all, a few words about myself. So my name is Erwan. So I am part of the solution engineering team in Europe for Qt, of course. I joined the company, almost 2 years ago. And my background is, embedded software. So I spent more than 20 years in the embedded software industry in various software vendors, with different roles such as software developer, project manager, or application engineer. And more on the low level, and I had the opportunity to work on a couple of projects, especially on safety, in avionics domain, in automotive, or in medical. So, what we'll speak about today? So let's start, to have a kind of overview about what are the challenges, especially when you develop software projects, when you have safety and what relates to safety and cybersecurity. After some words about how Qt is managing cybersecurity internally and on its product portfolio. So I think it's interesting for you if you are using Qt framework and Qt tools to develop your application. After, we'll speak more about what safety and cybersecurity components are available inside the Qt framework and can be used as well on your project. And point about the tooling. So of course, on the presentation before, you saw we speak about static code analysis. So Qt proposes a full portfolio of quality assurance tools for software, and of course, it can be useful for your safety to tackle safety issue and cybersecurity issue. And few words about key takeaway on the presentation. So cybersecurity, of course, cybersecurity, what is defining cybersecurity? So we have, 3 main requirements. The first one is, your system, if you want to be secure, your system has to be confidential, so we define a triad. So confidentiality, meaning that, only required people can access to the system, can access to the information. That's one. Second one is integrity. So you need to make sure that the data in your system are always good, so they are not tampered. So of course, there are techniques, for example, to avoid that, to make sure you make some checksum, etc. And availability, if you have a service available, a device, you want to be sure it's functional and it's available all the time, and to be able to get access to the service or to the data to be provided by the system. So of course, if one of these 3 things is not working, it can have huge impact on cost. So you may have seen, some internet site with a data breach. So you get some data are not protected. That means could be an issue of confidentiality, and then hackers get data, personal data from people, and they do whatever they want. They sell it, and they do really bad things, and could be critical, and it can cost millions or even billions of US dollars to the company, which are losing this data, especially if you think about, let's say, medical data or these kind of things. Second one is about, typical one is denial of service, of course, meaning we try to flood your services or your device or your infrastructure, and then what happens is that your infrastructure is not working, is not operational anymore. And of course, for example, there was a famous DNS attack, and and website affected, like I don't know, Google or big ones. Even if it's done for 1 hour, it costs a lot of money, and it can be a huge impact. So it's just some metrics here, few $1,000 to $1 million dollar per hour. So you want to have your service always available. Another one, which is more, yes, if you have a critical infrastructure, you want that it's secure, then you don't want to be controlled. That this critical infrastructure is controlled by bad people or unintended people. And one example, yeah, that the Iranians try to make atomic bomb and enrich their uranium. And what happens is that their PLC has been hacked and has been controlled remotely by you may know by whom, U.S. Secret Service or CIA or whatever, and they break the centrifuges, and that delays their program. It could be a huge impact. So that can have a huge impact on country if you critical infrastructure and energy or this kind of infrastructure. And you have to know that the hackers, and that's an example here, that they can have really huge money, huge resources. That could be state, that could be secret services, that could be criminal organization with a lot of money, with a lot of power. So that means you have to be careful. And when the time is growing, you have more and more hacks to various infrastructure of device. If you just type, car hacking in internet, you will find a lot that some cars has been opened by people or whatever. So the challenge, of course, if you have a device which is connected either with a wired or wireless protocol, there is a risk, especially for wireless, that you expose your device to the external, and there is a risk that someone is entering your device and doing exploit your device and doing bad things. Another point of risk as well, or what we call surface of attack, is that if your device is updatable, so you can make a software update on your device on the air, on the field. You have to be sure that software to be installed is the correct one, is signed properly, etc. Because someone can introduce a virus or bad software to make bad things with your device. So there has been some regulation define or bad practice, best practice, and certification relative to cybersecurity. One of them is evaluation assurance level with common criteria. So I think it has been defined more for a defense product. You have one dedicated to industrial device, let's say more for industrial automation industry, so IEC 62433. So another one which is more generic, we'll speak about it a little bit later, ISO 27001. And a new one, but I mentioned the one for European Union cybersecurity regulations. So there is this Cyber Resilience Act, which is already there, but which is coming more and more with more constraint. And for example, people putting IoT device or a connected device on the market, they will have to fulfill requirements and, for example, to be able to update the device with the latest software. And they have to manage really all their software assets and make sure it can be updated on the field. It's a strong requirement, but it will be some kind of thing that European Union will ask if you want to put your device on the market. And there are similar things for North American market and from US as well. These were the challenges with regards to cybersecurity. So let's speak no more about challenges around safety critical software. So of course, when you run a software project, so that's the first one about to manage cost, scope, and delay on your project. So it's always contradictory requirements for your project. So each project manager has this issue, and he has to make trade-off between these three things. And on top of that, he has to make sure to ensure quality of this product, and because he have pressure because he wants his project profitable, he wants his project fast in the market, and of course he wants his customer satisfied. So that applies to any project, but even more when you have a safety critical because you have more quality requirements. On top of that, we are speaking on the embedded system, software, or complex system, software and hardware. Software is becoming more and more complex. You have more and more software stacks, software pieces in your product. On top of that, hardware as well is evolving and becoming, the system on chip and more complex, more and more IP. In that, you can have system with, different cores, heterogeneous cores with a lot of software, different kind of application, operating systems, and hardware integration. So you have to make sure that all this is working together, though. Meaning challenging software integration issue, challenging software-hardware integration, and of course, validations in general. So that's one due to the environment. But on top of that, if you have certification requirements, first of all, you need to define, let's say, development project process or project management process, and you have to follow this strictly. And of course, you have to prove that you follow this, and that means you will be audited by external teams from your project. It could be internal team from your company, which is independent for the development team, or it could be external bodies. For example, you have the TÜV, or it could be even a state body, like if you do software in avionics, you have the EASA in Europe or FAA in US, and they will audit your project, and you will have to prove that you did the things well. You follow your own process. That means you need to have full traceability between your requirement, your implementation, and your validation. And of course, to prove that, you need to provide artifacts, meaning how you manage your project plans, how you are managing your source code, your configuration management, all these things. That's all from the process that you have defined, I don't know, coding standards, all these things. And you have to make sure that you did that with code review, with test results, etc. And on top of that, of course, to do this kind of activity, not all of this can be done manually. So you can be helped by tools. And of course, if you have tools, you have to prove that the tools are working well, are well configured for your project, for your use case, and that's what we call tool qualification. So how is it working when you have when you work with a safety critical project, especially on software? So first of all, you have to, on a system point of view, you have to define the safety use case. So what can be wrong in your system, in your application, full system, software and hardware? And when it's going wrong, what are the consequences? Are you? Is it in a nuclear plant? And if it's going wrong, I don't know, the nuclear plant will crash completely, and you will kill hundreds of thousands of people, or you are on a flight and the flight will crash with hundreds. That means that will define the rating, and when you have a certification, you have different level of criticality, and depending on the consequence, that's how we rate the safety case. So based on that, of course, that's at the system level. You got software level and you derive requirement from the safety case. That means to have the safety case to not happen, you need to have such and such requirement on your software that it should not fail in such case. And then you define software safety requirements. So depending on the industry, you have standards to fulfill when you do software certification. So some examples that here that in automotive you have to follow ISO 262. On the railway it's 50128. On the avionics, so you have to fulfill DO 178C, and for the tools part it's DO 330. And for industrial, 61508, and medical, 62304. So for the software and for the quality management system, 13485. So let's say you have two families, the one for avionics and the one they are derived from 61508, which is let's say railway, automotive, and medical. So they have a couple of variants. But in all cases, you have to fulfill these processes, and in all cases, you have different level of certification from from non-critical to highly critical. So let's go back to the cybersecurity management, and first of all, how is it managed at Qt company? So first of all, as a company, we have an overall cybersecurity process. So the process is a global process. It's not only applying to software, it's applying to the whole infrastructure, to the whole employee. Because of course, one of the main weaknesses is usually people. They can be attacked, they are doing bad things, they are not protecting, they are using bad passwords or whatever, or weak passwords. And that means the infrastructure can be attacked because people are not following rules. So it's very important that you have a solid generic IT process, that all the assets are protected properly. And of course, that means people need to be trained internally to make sure we fulfill these rules. And that's why Qt is compliant to ISO 27001 from its global process, but it's protecting as well the software, because it's interesting that the software and the product are protected, and your data as well as customer. On top of that, if we speak about Qt products, so Qt software products, of course, there are development processes in place to be sure we fulfill and we tackle cybersecurity. Of course, some of them, as told, you need to take care of for example, the cybersecurity at the design phase, at the beginning. So that means you need to have your design or software architecture secured with cybersecurity in mind. Of course, you can define coding standards. So on the presentation before, we talked about coding standards and bad things you can make with codings. And of course, that means that if you want to fulfill these coding standards and prove that you are doing it well, so you have manual and automatic code review. On top of that, what is very important is to be always up to date on the vulnerability you can have. So it exists a worldwide database, which is called CVE, the Common Vulnerability Exposure, which is available for all software in the world. So if people discover a vulnerability issue, a flaw, it sends that to this website or to this organism. And what is important that, of course, what is related to Qt framework or what is related to Qt framework is depending on relying on some underlying library. So each time there is a vulnerability raised relative to Qt framework or depending on some library Qt framework is using. So there's a dedicated security team, and yes, on the R&D, which is really looking at that and make sure if there is an issue to make impact assessment and provide a fix as soon as possible and communicate to customers as soon as possible. And that's why if there is an issue, the customer support will proactively contact commercial customers which are under support and maintenance. And of course, it's part of the maintenance process of the product to fix all these potential issues and included in the long-term support version. So I will have a few words after about the long-term support versions. And of course, if yourself, as customer or as Qt user, you can raise a security issue, it will be taken into account at high priority by this team. And in the future, even there will be really a specific service level agreement for this security issue. Okay, so I will go a little bit faster. So in terms of components, security components that you can have on Qt, of course, I was speaking about software updates. So we have some infrastructure, especially if you use application manager. So you can apply application manager allow you to install new application. So you can apply digital signature, and as well as different applications will be isolated in containers. That means if there is an issue in one, it will not have impact on the other. As well, you can bind the application to hardware identifier. So that's for the update. The same if you develop Android application, Qt tools Qt Creator will generate an APK. The same you can apply APK. So in the APK, there is a signature part of it, so you can do that. On top of that, so I was speaking that one of the issues is to encrypt data, network communication with the external. So Qt network component is offering secure socket layer. So the goal of this, of course, is to be able to encrypt data when going to the network. So by default, Qt is using as backend for secure transport layer OpenSSL. But if you want to use another one because you don't want to use OpenSSL, but another backend, it's possible as well. Another point, we are speaking about confidentiality. So Qt is offering as well authentication protocol OAuth version 1 and 2. So on top of that, which is important, is to reduce your surface of attack. So just include in your application the necessary component you need. It's not needed to include components or Qt components you are not using. Of course, if you use static build, it will help you with that because it will just include the component you are using in the application, and of course reduce external dependency. Okay, another product which is more related to safety, which is Qt Safe Renderer. So this product has been developed in mind more for the, let's say, the automotive market and the automotive use case. So that means it's relying on system when you have a mixed critical architecture, meaning you have an hardware, and on top of that, you have either a real-time operating system or hypervisor, which is able to isolate, safety critical part of your application and non-safety critical part. And then that means if you have a safety critical item or alarm, you want to display when it happens something unsafe, or you want to warn the user and make sure it's displayed. So you put that in the safe renderer, and the rest of the application, which is not critical, you develop it with Qt. So Qt Safe Renderer has been developed using good good development process to be certified, and that means it has a small code base. It follows MISRA C++ rules. And of course, when you have a safety system, you don't want to have issue with memory allocation. So that means we allow some allocation at startup, but after there is no dynamic allocation and it has been certified, and we got Qt Safe Renderer got the TÜV certificate for the following standards here: automotive and industrial. So just here to show a typical use case with a Qt Safe Renderer, meaning you have a digital cluster on a car. So the cluster itself is non-critical, and you have the alarms here. When something wrong, you want to display some alarms, some icons. Then it will be done by the Safe Renderer, and of course here you have underlying system based on ASIL-D real-time operating system, which is able to isolate safety critical part and non-safety critical part. And you see that the Safe Renderer is on the critical part. So on top of that, the Safe Renderer can monitor the other application which is non-critical and eventually restart it. Another point, if you are using Qt library or Qt framework in the context of medical, you can. There are ways to consider Qt as what we call a SOUP, software of unknown provenance. That means that you can use it in your device, which can be certified up to the highest level for FDA or ISC 62304. Because what does that mean? That Qt, let's say, has been audited or has experience with a lot of customers, that it has good development process, good maintenance process, and if you have an issue. And on top of that, if you are commercial customer, will help you to provide the necessary artifacts. So we have a dedicated team which is helping really medical customer, and based on their projects, their use case, they will provide you the correct documentation to help you certify your product as and Qt to use as a SOUP in your project. So long-term support. So as I told, it's always good to be up to date on your software, and it's always good that Qt is including the cybersecurity patches on the release. So you see the time a version is supported. So you have let's say Qt is delivering major version every 6 months. Every 1.5 years, you have a long-term support, which is by default 3 years. But it could be extended. So that means you have time to switch from one version to another between the 3 years. Okay, so let's go back. Let's go now to the quality assurance tools. So on the preliminary documentation, we spoke about static code analysis. So if you look at the development cycle, meaning you do your software architecture, then you develop your code, you compile your code, and you execute your application. So we distinguish two kinds of tools: static code analysis and dynamic code analysis. So on the static code analysis, it's better to have your code compiled, of course. Sorry, and the tool will make code review. Will look at the rules. If you have coding rules yourself, or if you are using rules like Misra, etc., you can check that your code is compliant with the architecture you define to be safe and secure. And on the dynamic code analysis, one tool which is important, Coco, which is applying to graphical and non-graphical application on C++. When you compile, you add some instrumentation, then you run your test suite, and the tool will give you code coverage and how much part of the code you have covered with your test. So just here, how it looks like in your infrastructure. So for the static code analysis, you can have it locally on your IDE. Of course, the developer can see already the issue, but you can as well integrate it in your continuous integration server infrastructure when you can run the tool each time you make a release, each time you make a commit, and you can have delta analysis between different versions, and you have a tool to get report, and you have a tool qualification kit. So we have similar architecture for Squish and Coco. So the code coverage, you can have the information in the IDE, or of course you can use it in your or you can as well use it in the continuous integration server. So each time you do release, you have information about your code coverage and automatic testing. And as well, you can generate report. You can link it to bug tracking tools, and you can have a tool qualification kit. So just as abstract, so that means all these tools, yes, Axivion architecture analysis will help you to make sure you are fulfilling your defined safe and secure architecture, that your code implementation is correct. It will check, C++ safe and secure best practice, meaning you can do a lot of bad things in C++, so you have to make sure, like buffer overflow, these kind of things, to avoid that. It will check for dead code that can be avoided to reduce surface of attack. It could as well help for cycle detection to reduce denial of service attacks. And Coco as well can help on the dynamic way to detect dead code and to make sure you have complete test completeness. And as well, all the tools, they will provide report automatically, so that can help you to build artifacts for your certification process. Okay, so all these tools, as I told, we provide a tool qualification kit for both Axivion, Squish, and Coco, so that can be used in your project if you have in a certification context. So I will finish with the conclusion. So, as takeaway, of course, safety and cybersecurity are complex topics and serious topics, especially yes, if you want to launch product on the market. So first of all, Qt is taking that seriously and have a really solid and professional processes in place as well for its product development and its internal IT infrastructure. So we have seen that Qt framework offers components for both safety and cybersecurity. And on top of that, of course, the quality assurance tools can help you yes, to fulfill your safety and cybersecurity processes. So I think I am, it's okay. I'm finished.